Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 71. Andrew Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, Andrew. Hello, everybody out there.
So, did you see the My Little Pony movie?
No, I have
I
not.
saw the My Little Pony movie.
I'll probably take my girls to go see it when it hits the dollar theater. But
well, then I won't spoil it for you.
I don't think I'm really worried about spoilers, but
yeah. I enjoyed the movie. I mentioned on Twitter that the movie feels like it's trying a bit too hard in some respects with the animation and the jokes. For example, there are a couple jokes in there that are just so obvious and stupid they really should have left them out. For example, the whole Wizard of Oz joke where someone says, "Oh, you can't go into the forest, there's lions and tigers and bears," and then someone will go, "Oh my."
Yeah.
It's time to retire that joke. It's not funny anymore.
Are you sure?
I'm not saying forget about the Wizard of Oz or Frank Baum's any of his books. That they've earned their place in history. But please get past that joke. It's like the Wilhelm scream. Stop using it.
Yeah. Well, and it's either that or we're not in Kansas anymore, and there's that's another pretty common trope whenever somebody ends up somewhere where they're.
Well, that's less a joke and more a turn of phrase. That one I'm okay with situationally, but I'm just tired of that. Someone, well, the lions and tigers and bears, and someone going, "Oh my!" It's like, oh gosh. As far as the animation goes, the animation is lovely. But it feels like they tried to make it so special that they overdid it. Like they mixed the paint with glitter. Because the ponies, of course, it's a flash animated show, so the ponies are just kind of solid colors. There's really no texture to them.
Yeah.
You know, Applejack is orange, Twilight is purple, Pinkie Pie is pink. Their coats are almost sparkly. I mean, it's thematically appropriate. It's My Little Pony, of course, but it's almost distracting. And their eyes, their irises are like sparkly, like overly sparkly, to the point where it's really distracting. So I think they went a little bit too far in trying to make it's the movie, we've got to make it super special. Although I do like that it feels like an actual movie and not a long episode.
Not just a long episode,
or 4 episodes pasted together. What surprised me is the movie's like an hour and 40 some minutes. It's long for an animated film.
Yeah, because an hour and 40 minutes, that's about 7 episodes there.
Yeah, well, cutting for commercial,
episode
about 22 minutes. Yeah.
So that's almost 7
episodes. But I enjoyed the movie.
5. I don't know why I was thinking an hour is 100 minutes. 5.
I think it's like 103 minutes or something like that. It's it's longer than you expect a cartoon to be. But I really quite enjoyed it. Some of the characters don't need to be there. If this was just a movie that didn't have 7 seasons behind it, I might walk out of it going, why is Fluttershy even in the group? She doesn't do anything. She doesn't contribute to the story. She's just there. And Rainbow Dash has like 1 contribution. Rarity has 1, albeit important, contribution. It's mainly Twilight could have just kind of gone on her own, maybe taking Pinkie Pie with her, but the rest of the main 6 didn't have a ton to do.
Twilight, from what I've seen of the show, Twilight is technically she's OP. She's the most powerful of them all. There's really
now she is. She's an alicorn,
yeah. So it's like all the rest of them. They have their little quirks and talents, but
the thing I like about the characterization of Twilight Sparkle is, while she may be OP as far as her moveset goes, I mean, she can fly. She's super smart. She's very good at magic. She's a princess. It's like, oh my gosh. Well, she's also a neurotic idiot. She's she's incredibly neurotic, and she doesn't think. She overthinks things to the point of not thinking.
Yeah.
Like, she has trouble thinking outside her own little box. And she makes, for as much power and responsibility she has, she makes a lot of really terrible choices. Because she's a neurotic, which is kind of interesting. I'd say probably my biggest complaint is the ponies keep falling off of stuff, and they're trying to wring drama out of that. Oh no, the ponies just fell from a high place. And I'm sitting there going, literally half of them can fly. This is not a problem. Are they going to be okay? Half of them can fly.
Well, yeah, and Rarity can also make stuff float. She's got some kind of telekinetic.
Rarity's a unicorn, so she has magic, so she could probably do something to.
Yeah, something to keep herself from falling to her doom.
Yeah,
it's only really Pinkie
Twilight grabs Rarity. Rarity grabs someone else with her magic. Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash both fly. So again, half of them fly. Falling from a high place is not a problem. But if you left Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash at home, well, then you've only got one flyer and 3 other ponies, and it's like, oh crap, what do I do now? Then you can get some drama. But there's at least 2 moments in the film where the ponies tumble off of a high place, and it's like, half of them could fly. There's no drama here.
Nice.
But there's actually it's rated PG, which I didn't realize until today. Actually, I looked at am I bleeding? Yes, I'm bleeding. Huh, look at that. They actually do something very surprising, and spoilers, I guess. It's 2 weeks in. If you were going to see My Little Pony, I imagine you probably went to see it already. They straight up murder the bad guy.
Really? They actually kill somebody?
Yeah, this may be the first. Usually the ponies befriend the bad guy.
Yeah, because I know one of the biggest bads that they've had is Discord, the god of chaos, and it's just recently I was watching an episode with my kids, and Discord was playing Dungeons and Dragons with Spike and Mac, and so I was just like, I guess Discord isn't really all that bad anymore.
Yeah, very few. Let's say, especially in the Equestria Girls universe. I think almost except for the Sirens and the Battle of the Bands one, everyone ends up being a good guy and part of the group for the next season. Turek is still a bad guy. Whatever the name of the armored pony who tried to take over the Crystal Kingdom in, I think, season 3 is still bad. Crystallis, the Changeling Queen, is still bad. Although they did like extend their hand to her. And it's like, please be a friendly pony. And she's like, no! And she runs off. Ponies can't flip you off because they've only got hooves.
What about that? That evil, incompetent wizard pony? I forget her name.
Trixie?
She's like Trixie, yeah. I guess that's
Trixie's not a bad. Well, I mean, she's done some bad things, but she's a friend now too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Along with so it's funny, and in fact, the main there's basically the Darth Vader to this show, the movie's Emperor, becomes a friend at the end of the movie. They kill the Emperor. Actually, it's very Star Wars. She basically throws him from a high place and he dies. But not quite that, because he gets frozen in stone and falls from a high place and then shatters on the ground. I was like, oh, he's dead. They
that's him. Dead, all right.
I'm like looking around. I'm like, I was not expecting that in My Little Pony. I was not expecting them to off the villain. But that's okay, because
that, freezing him in stone would be enough. But
but falls from a high place and shatters. I'm like, oh dear. But the Vader-esque character, Tempest, she's really cool, and cool enough that I love her design, and I hope she actually shows up in the in season 8.
In the show. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just great. And the joke at the end of the movie is my favorite joke, where she reveals her real name. Because Pinkie Pie's bouncing all over the place, and she's like, "Hey, Tempest, let's do stuff." And she's like, "Actually, Tempest is not my real name." She goes, "Ooh, what is it? What is it?" And she looks around, she whispers in her ear, it's something like, "Fizzle Pop Sparkleberry." And Pinkie's like, "Oh my God, that's the greatest name ever." And I'm sitting in the audience going, "I know, right?" Fizzle Pop Sparkleberry or something like that. Oh, it's hilarious.
Nice. Yeah.
Pretty good music. Although what I found interesting is there's I think there's about 6 songs. 4 of them are original and 2 of them are covers. One is a cover of "We've Got the Beat." We've got the beat. We've got the beat. We've got the beat. Yeah, we got the beat. And another one is a Sia song. There's a Sia there's a musical artist named Sia, I have learned. I had no idea who this was, although I've heard her Rainbow song. And her Rainbow song closes the movie. And it's not even ponified so far as We Got the Beat is actually ponified. It's got the lyrics are reworked to mention equestrian, stuff like that. Sia's song, actually, maybe it is ponified, because I cannot understand the lyrics to that song. I actually just saw a music video today which had the lyrics. I go, "Is that what she's saying?" Oh, because rainbow was like the only word I recognized in the song. I have no idea if Sia is not a native English speaker, or if she just enunciates in a way that my ears don't comprehend. But I mean, it's a fine song. She's a fine singer, but Lordy, I cannot understand a thing she says or sings. Never heard her talk. Anyway, I enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing Jigsaw next week.
2 totally different ends of the spectrum.
I have eclectic taste.
Yeah.
Anyway, all I've been doing this week, the only thing I did this week was edit the video that I released.
Your video, yeah.
Which looks at a year ago yesterday, Nintendo released that 3.5-minute commercial announcing the Switch, and they also released an infographic boasting 48 third parties that they'd partner with to make the Switch awesome. So a year later, and
your commenters, you're hilarious.
Some of my commenters are a little salty. So I made.
How dare you list all 161 games that's on the Nintendo Switch? You're evil for hating Nintendo. It's like, what?
I am. Yeah. Now, to be fair, most of the comments are actually very nice. Most people enjoyed it.
Very good.
Even there were some commenters who took issue with certain aspects of the video and engaged me civilly about that, and that's great. But there were a couple who were very upset, seemingly, that I had the audacity to examine what games had resulted from these various partnerships, because that's what the video is me literally going through the entire list and the entire infographic, and company by company listing every game that's been released or announced by those companies thus far. That's the entire list. About the only opinion in there really is my observation that 2/3 of the games are ports of old games that you can when they released, they'd been available on other platforms to play. Sometimes for several months, sometimes for several years, couple cases, decades. So personally, I find that ratio, I'd prefer a higher ratio of new games to old games.
Yeah.
But I do concede in the video that a lot of people are excited to play some of their old favorites on the go, and the Switch's portability facilitates that. So the message of the video really at the very end is well, other than claiming Rarity being the best pony, is saying, I hope we get more new games and more awesome ports that portable fans can play on the go. Yeah. And to a select few, that makes me a Nintendo hater somehow.
Yeah. Well, what I really enjoyed was the guy that was like, who took this video and then included your Nintendo "Why won't you let me give you my money" video, and then for everything but Wii U list. It's like, man, all these videos just show how much you hate Nintendo, and it's like, what?
Well, the comparison I find really interesting is this video shows how much I hate Nintendo. Not like you used to. You used to be a Nintendo fanboy with your first video. Like, have you even actually watched Nintendo "Why Won't You Let Me Give You My Money"? As you might be able to infer from the title, it's fairly critical of Nintendo. Yeah. It's actually a hell of a lot more critical than this video is. This one is essentially just a observation of what is. It's fairly neutral, but there you have it. Anyway, I worked very hard on it, so I hope you'll all give it a chance. It's half an hour long. There's 161 games to go through, but I was actually pretty pleased with myself for managing to get that script under half an hour.
Yeah, it's like your only big mistake that I noticed, other than a couple of, and you noticed this as well. You said 2 when you meant 3 for one of the games.
Darksiders 3. Yeah. I caught that in the edit. I was like, oh shoot.
Yeah, that was the only real big mistake. You had a couple of slip-ups in trying to pronounce a few games, but and then one game was announced the day after you recorded, and it's just like, so that was fun seeing that annotation pop up a few times,
4 or 5 times, because not only which company, it was Arc System Works. There were several companies that had announced games. For example, Arc System Works, even 7 or 8 months ago, said, we're going to have it's actually Blay Blue. The Z is silent for some reason. It's not Blaze Blue. Apparently it's Blay Blue. I'm going to call it Blaze Blue because there's a Z in it. They said, we're going to have a Blaze Blue game on the Switch. And I said, great. I don't know how to categorize it, though, because I don't know if it's an exclusive for the Switch or if it's a new game or if it's a port of an existing Blaze Blue title. So it was one of many uncategorized games, because there was an Untitled Story of Seasons game, an Untitled Tales game, there's an Untitled Derby Stallion game.
Yeah, and then there were a couple of games that had no titles. They were just, we're making a game.
So I used, of the 6 or so Untitled games, I used Arc System Works as their Untitled Blaze Blue title as the touchstone example. And I referred back to it several times. I recorded this video Saturday night after last week's podcast. Sunday morning, Arc System Works announced the Blaze Blue title was now Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle for Switch, PS4, and I think Vita or something like that. So it's no longer unknown. So I had to make like an annotation in 3 or 4 different spots of the video. It's like, as I noted before, Arc System announced the morning after I recorded this. So, and also Nippon Ichi Software announced a new game on Tuesday morning or something like that, and I had to. I basically recorded about 15-20 seconds of audio and just stop the video, inserted a little audio in there.
I remember
Stop.
that. Yeah.
New game. It's 161. Okay, as we were. Luckily, I didn't have to really redo many of the graphics. The pie chart, as you can probably guess, is generated by Excel. So I just plugged a new number into Excel spreadsheet. It updates the pie chart. I take a new picture of it, plug it in. It updates the graphic. It's fine. Yeah. But that's always the problem with a project like this is you can't just shoot it, edit, and release it, because it took me all week to edit that sucker.
And I can imagine, because you had tons of images you had to put into the video, and then you had to keep the running tally on the bottom, and yeah, that's a lot of work.
2 hours was actually spent experimenting on the best way to do it, because I don't have a good art program that I can that little colored bar on the bottom. That's created by just resizing a bunch of colored rectangles in the editor, and then using that as a screenshot, and then cropping them, so because I don't have a way to make an alpha channel, because I don't have like a Premiere or anything like that, because I don't do stuff like this enough to really make it worth the investment. So I had to kind of go the long way around to do fairly simple effects. And I knew I wanted to do something with the number rather than just have it come on the screen. I wanted it to grow and shrink a little bit. So I tried doing I tried to animate the number where I scaled it up for 5 frames and then scaled it back for another 5 frames. And the problem is my keyframes kept resetting. And I spent like 2 hours on this, and I could not figure out how to get the keyframes to stop resetting. Because I'd set them at 0, 5, and 10 frames, and then they just, as soon as I saved and closed, I'd go back, and then they had stretched out to like 20 seconds, making the number go, instead of boing. So I had to use an actual animation preset, which was that kind of rolling pop-up thing, which isn't exactly what I wanted, but close enough.
Yeah.
Also, a weird thing is I can't just create an event where the number does that pop at the beginning and stays like that for the length of the event. The event has to be 10 seconds. If you stretch it longer than 10 seconds, the animation replays at the 10-second mark. So I had to do the event, do the animation on it, then copy the event and take the animation off of it. But of course, the animation slightly changes the scale of the number. So I had to blend the 2 events, one animated, one not, together over the course of a second to kind of make so the number wouldn't jerk. Oh God, it was a nightmare to edit. Matthew's asking what software I use. I use a 2011 version of Sony Vegas. I actually bought the modern version of Sony Vegas, I think, over the summer, and it's terrible. And I actually managed to refund even though it was a digital purchase, I managed to get my $50 refunded, and I'm so glad, because I don't know what the hell they were thinking, but the 2017 version or whatever they're calling it of Vegas is just awful. It's a gigantic step back in so many areas. It does render faster. I'll give it that. And it does allow me more channels. I only have 8 video channels to work with, so I had to do some really creative stacking in the edit. Another reason why it took me all week to edit. But I think the video turned out pretty well. And I am a little embarrassed by some of the elocution flubs. But I only had... I only had time really for one take, because I knew it was going to be a really long edit. I also realized Saturday night, as I got to record it, that I was on my last AA battery for my microphone, and it was about dead. I said, I am going to be lucky to get 40 minutes out of my microphone. I've only got time for one take. I really didn't want to run to the store and take an hour to run to the store and buy batteries. So that's why the delivery is not exactly where I'd wanted, and I say Darksiders 2 instead of 3 on accident, although I do have an annotation that points that out. So there are a couple delivery mistakes, but overall, I'm pretty proud of how the video turned out.
Oh, cool. Da
Vinci Resolve. Yeah, okay, yeah, I've heard of that. Can't do 4K editing in the free version. Well, that's okay because I don't shoot in 4K. I only shoot in HD, so 1080p 60. So, how's your week been? Sorry to hog the conversation for us.
Oh no, it's fine. No, this week hasn't been too bad. My wife has been out of town, or my wife and kids have been out of town since Wednesday. They went up to. It was my kids' fall break, and so she took them up to see her parents who live in Missouri, and so I had pretty quiet time this week, and not too bad. Been able to catch up on some TV, get some work done on my computer and everything, and now I'm pretty confident that all the issues that I had been having with this desktop are taken care of, and I can actually use it, which means that I'm good to go for game development again, which is nice. It's been over a month since I've been able to do anything. But this week, I haven't done a whole lot of gaming or anything, but I did watch TV. And I got to say, so far, most of what I've watched superhero TV-wise has been pretty good. Inhumans is still kind of it's not anywhere near as good as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been lately. But the only thing that I really have a complaint about is with Legends of Tomorrow. This is that CWDC time-traveling superhero show. And heading into the season 3, the trailers, showed a couple of fun, a couple of things that they were going to be up against, and one of them was they were going to interact with P.T. Barnum's traveling circus in the 1800s. And in the trailers, you get a glimpse of Buona Beast, and for those that don't know, Buona Beast is a superhero who has he's pretty strong and athletic. He has really super intense tracking abilities, and then I just learned that he also has the ability to meld animals together, which is really weird. But I watched him in Justice. He was in one episode of Justice League Unlimited, and it was an episode where Wonder Woman gets turned into a pig, and Batman's trying to find her and trying to keep everything on the down low. So he only gets a couple of superheroes to help him out, and one of them is Buona Beast, and he was pretty darn funny in that episode, and he was also in Brave and the Bold, and it had some good stuff in that one too. And so I was really excited because I liked Buona Beast as a character in those two appearances I had seen him in. And so this week it was that episode where they went to P.T. Barnum's circus. And this season of Legends of Tomorrow, they're kind of on a probationary type experience with Rip. I forget his last name. Rip Hunter, that's who it is. He's the time traveler that originally formed the team, and so they were following up on an anomaly, a time anomaly, and it ended up being at P.T. Barnum's circus. And what it turned out to be was a saber-toothed tiger. Barnum had caught a saber-toothed tiger and was going to use that as his centerpiece of his circus. And the Legends of Tomorrow tried to, they went to go and capture the saber-toothed tiger, but ended up making it grow in size, and it escaped. And so, a pretty good setup for an episode, I thought. And then so they were like, now we've got to go out and find this thing. And I was like, sweet. They're going to go and they're going to team up with Buona Beast, and it's going to be a fun romp of an episode. But no, that's not what happened. Instead, instead of Buona Beast being the guy that a superhero that I expected him to be, he just ended up being a thug for P.T. Barnum. P.T. Barnum ended up being the villain or the antagonist of the episode, and Buona Beast never used any superpowers or anything. He was just the muscle of P.T. Barnum. He just was there to beat people up, and that ticked me off. It's like, seriously, this is the absolute worst superhero cameo that I have seen in any of these superhero TV shows that I've been watching. It was just absolutely garbage, and I was really upset that they misused him, that he was not anything worth watching. It's like they could have just not had him as Buona Beast, and it nothing would have been different. But no, they put him in the Buona Beast mask and loincloth, and then did absolutely nothing with him. Very upset. But yeah, that's my only real thing that I felt like sharing from this week.
All right. I have someone on YouTube telling me that Monopoly is, in fact, not an exclusive. That's also available on Steam. I'll have to research that later. Because Monopoly, the Monopoly for Switch is listed as an exclusive. It's presented as an exclusive, but it is Monopoly. So it was one of those games, like, I was like, it's like Othello. How different from other Othello and games could it be? But I was trying to be fair, even though I gave Ultra Street Fighter 2 the cold shoulder and didn't count it as an exclusive. It might be. I'll have to look into that. It doesn't really matter. Doesn't change the chart much, really. But yeah, the Monopoly experience on the Switch is probably fairly different than it would be on PC. But looking at screenshots, because one's called Monopoly Plus, but looking at the screenshots, it looks like it's the same game ported to Switch. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. But when you're juggling 160 games, you're gonna make a boo-boo here and there, so that happens. So let's do a rapid fire topics here before we get to the meat, because I had a couple interesting things that I just wanted to hit on real quick. And the first is Capcom. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is selling new costumes for each of their characters. And these are premium costumes. They're cool. I'm not sure why they're premium, other than the fact that 18 of them cost $30.
Wow. For just costumes?
Just one costume per character. Now, to be fair, this $30 costume pass does include new outfits for the other 12 characters. They just won't be available for a while.
Immediately. Yeah.
Right. So, to be fair, it's a
lot of money.
Yeah, it's $1 a costume, which, I'm sorry, that's still too much. You know how much all the extra costumes in Mario Odyssey cost? Nothing. They're free because you paid $60 for the game.
Well,
$30 for 18.
Didn't I read that in order to dress up Mario in a wedding dress, you have to use the wedding dress or the wedding Peach amiibo?
No, while the 3 wedding amiibos do unlock those outfits in the game, you can unlock them by playing the game too. So you don't need which, clappity clap. Although I feel kind of dirty praising a company for doing the bare minimum right thing, for doing what should be standard. I just found that kind of $30.
$30. That's half the price of the game. Yeah. You would think, for $30, you would. Yeah.
I mean, to
For
be
$30,
fair,
you expect to get like 8 characters or more than that. You know, it's like
I mean, they are modeled costumes. They're not like palette swaps or anything, but still, that
so.
is absurd.
Is this stuff like the Venom suit for Spider-Man or things like that, or is this just something totally different? I haven't looked into it.
Let's see. Iron Man has his. I think that's the superior Iron Man suit. So it's the white suit. Hawkeye has a mask. Thor has no cape and short sleeves.
Interesting.
Dante is his DMC Dante one, the one that's not the white haired Dante, the short brown hair one. Arthur is just wearing a helmet, I guess. Hulk is wearing a pinstripe suit. That's pretty cool. Captain Marvel has.
Is he Gray Hulk or just is he still Green?
He's Gray Hulk. Gray Hulk.
Okay, yeah, because that's
cool looking.
Yeah, because that's actually from the comics. There was a I forget what his name was, but he had a specific name that he was going by, and it was like some undercover thing with the mob or something like that. It was really cool. So yeah.
Ghost Rider has a cowboy getup. Firebrand is purple. Morgan is wearing shorts and a crop top. Yeah, so I mean, they're just different costumes, but this should be free. These should be free updates. It's a costume.
Yeah. I remember when you had to just beat the game as that character to unlock all of their alternate looks, you know, or just play multiplayer and you had you could 2 players playing the same people use different costumes, and then and Smash Brothers, you unlock different styles and looks for all of the characters. It's just this is crazy.
That's scummy. Those are the kind of things that make me want to just wait until you do the Game of the Year edition. Okay, next on my list of things is Disney finally announced the actual official title of the Han Solo Star Wars movie. It is.
Oh, and it's terrible. Yeah, it is absolutely terrible.
It's Solo, a Star Wars story. Like, couldn't come up with anything more boring than that.
Yeah, exactly. And I read that and I about laughed because it was just that.
I think we were all kind of expecting like Han Solo, Solo, and a lot of people are making.
It's like a solo Star Wars story. That would have been interesting. At least a play on words.
A solo Star Wars story. I actually kind of like that. I joke Solo, a beer pong story.
Oh man, can you imagine if that's how he won the Molehill
Matthew says yes, it's cringy, but not the worst movie title. Oh no, it's not the worst movie title. It's just boring.
Yeah,
I literally made a video about how boring this title was several weeks ago. Disney, were you not watching it? I told you not to do that.
I meant to ask you earlier when you were talking about Lego Star Wars Force Awakens. Has there been a Rogue One Lego Star Wars game, or is that in another game? Or?
Not yet. I'm sure there will be. Or actually, my guess is there will be a Last Jedi Lego game, and there will be like the season pass will include Rogue One DLC or something like that.
Maybe, yeah. Okay, but I just had to ask. In other news, Bethesda announced. I'm not sure if they announced this a while ago and I missed it. But the new Wolfenstein game, Wolfenstein 2, which looks really, really fun, has a season pass, but also has a DLC episode that is locked behind pre-order. Seriously? an actual level
Yeah.
is locked behind a pre-order.
Yep. There's a little DLC levels called the Chronicles of Freedom or something or the Freedom Chronicles, and episode 0 is you have to pre-order to get episode 0, which is described as episode 0 introduces you to larger than life American heroes Joseph Stallion, Jessica Valiant, and Gerald Wilkins. I think Gerald got the short end of the stick with the naming.
Yeah.
As they fight for liberty and against Nazi tyranny.
Joseph Stallion.
Joseph Stallion.
Because that's a play on Joseph Stalin, isn't it?
It sounds similar, but
yeah.
Harness their unique abilities and equip their arsenal of guns and blast their way through Nazis in this opening DLC. Jessica Valiant, Joseph Stallion, and Jerry Wilkins.
But yeah, seriously, why are we locking levels behind pre-orders? That is so annoying, so stupid.
I said this last week, but the only thing that should be a pre-order bonus is physical extra stuff outside of the game.
Yeah, same with
art books, soundtracks, even a different colored cartridge if you want to make the cartridge like we have cartridges anymore other than the Switch. But the gold Zelda cartridge, fine. Yeah. Well, Lego minifig comes with the new Lego game if you pre-order it. Fine. Again, art book stickers, soundtracks, all that stuff, but don't remove content from the game. Don't hold game content hostage behind pre-orders. That's not nice. I don't like it.
Yeah.
All right. What's next? The Switch just had an OS update. And Nintendo announced it with a minute and a half video. And 15 seconds in, I had to pause it because I burst out laughing. It starts something like the Switch is always full of surprises. Now, now when you hit the little when you hold the capture button, you can take 30 seconds of video. 30 whole seconds.
Yeah, it's 30 seconds. And apparently it's the last 30 seconds. It's not like you press and then the next 30 seconds you play records. It's the 30 seconds before you push the button.
Right. There's a constant. It's constantly like the PlayStation 4 does. It's constantly recording footage. So when you hit the capture button, it saves that chunk of footage, that rolling record, and partitions it off somewhere and saves it. The difference is that the PlayStation 4 is saving, I think, 15 minutes of video. The Switch is doing 30 seconds. And it has a full suite of editing tools, so if 30 seconds is just too much for you, you can trim that shit down.
Trim that down, yeah. It really makes you wonder if they actually have a little more than, if they're saving more than 30 seconds. It's just 30 seconds is all they're allowing right now.
There is some rumors that once they here's the brilliant part. This video recording only works for 4 games. It doesn't even work for it only works for Zelda, ARMS, Splatoon, and
I forget what the other one is. Yeah,
Zelda, Mario Kart 8, ARMS, and Splatoon 2.
But so that makes you wonder. So apparently it's not an operating system, an OS level feature. It's a game feature. And
it's an operating system feature in the sense that it's always recording, but it seems like every game that's going to use it needs to have a flag set. So any game that's already been released needs to have a patch to enable it. From what I've heard, Nintendo's going to roll it out to new games, and once that happens, then they might allow you to record more. Also, it only posts to Twitter and Facebook. It does not post to YouTube, which is probably for the best because Nintendo would probably copyright claim it if you did that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me. Now, to be fair, the Switch doesn't have a ton of memory. It doesn't have a hard drive. It only has like 32 gigs of memory plus whatever micro SD card you jam in it. So it's not like there's a whole hell of a lot of space for a rolling record of 15 minutes of video, especially in any decent quality. So it's not, when you stop and think about what the system is, it's a portable system. You know, that's kind of to be expected. If I had actually thought about it, if someone had come up to me and said, Andrew, they're going to introduce the capture button's actually going to capture video someday. How much video? PlayStation does 15 minutes. How much do you think the Switch would do? I probably would have guessed 30 seconds, no more than a minute.
Yeah.
Just due to space considerations. Still, that video had me rolling. The Nintendo Switch, now you can record up to 30 seconds of video. I burst out laughing, and I was at work too.
Yeah. So, but along the same lines, okay, they also publish with this same update. Okay, I'm sure you were getting to it too. They decided, they decided to address the concerns that people had about not being able to back up their save files. And so Nintendo's response to being unable to back up your save file was to release a feature that lets you transfer your entire profile from one Switch to another, deleting it from the old Switch. And that's what their response to not being able to back up your save files is.
There's something about headphones too.
Yeah.
Like you can plug any headphone into the headphone jack and it works. And like, that didn't work before? Okay.
Yeah. But that transfer system is not what people wanted. People were like, we want to be able to make a backup copy of our save file onto our SD card so that if our save file gets corrupted, we have a backup. But no, Nintendo says, oh, you want a backup? Okay, well, transfer your entire profile to another
USB
system.
Headphones. That's what it was. Thank you, Scotty.
Okay. But yeah, that was I thought, that was one of the most dumbfounding features that I could ever imagine. Yeah, but nobody's asking for cloud saves. Matthew says that do I trust Nintendo with cloud saves? Nobody's asking.
I don't trust anybody with cloud saves.
People are asking to be able to take the save files from the onboard memory and put it onto the SD card. That's what people are asking for, and Nintendo doesn't understand that and hasn't made that very simple OS change. Yeah.
And someone mentioned, Scotty mentioned Mario Odyssey will have video recording. Yeah, doubtless. Matthew's also pointing out that there's no reason that the Switch, with the hardware that it contains, that it couldn't actually stream to Twitch. It wouldn't have to do rolling recording video. 30 seconds is good for, I think, Facebook and Twitter posts. I don't think those are meant just like, quick little, I just knocked Springman for a loop. Here's a fun little GIF, but as someone else is pointing, just use it. If you're putting stuff out on YouTube or something, just use a capture.
Just use a capture card.
They'll be better quality anyway. Now, I haven't seen anyone test out what the what the quality of the recorded footage is. Don't know yet. I assume it's probably 30 frames per second, 720p, regardless of what the resolution or frame rate of the game is. Probably not going to go full 1080p 60 if there's a game that does that, just for space considerations. That would be my guess. I really don't know. But really, this should have been out of the box. Like many, this is something that Nintendo should have had ready day one. Come on.
Yeah, especially when they tout the share button feature in the announcement for the system.
Well, did take screenshots.
Yeah.
And I still need to get the screenshots of Project Octopath Traveler where I beat up everybody in town and they're all laying on the ground. took a screen of that, just never shared it because I forgot. Scotty says 720 30 frames. So yeah, okay. Let's see. Next, What's next? Oh, I wanted to talk about Fire Emblem Warriors and its DLC. Nintendo actually, a week or two or three ago, I was complaining about we knew how much the DLC for Fire Emblem Warriors cost, $20, but we didn't know what the DLC was. We didn't know what we were paying for. All we knew is it was a Fire Emblem Fates pack, a Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon pack, and a Fire Emblem Awakening pack. So we knew the theme, but we didn't know what was in them. Well, now we know that each pack will contain 3 new playable characters, 3 new history scenarios, which, from what I'm gathering, are not quite as expansive as the adventure maps in Hyrule Warriors, but something akin to that. Some new weapons and costumes and new support conversations. Okay, so it sounds like there's a decent amount of
content per pack.
Content in here. Here's the thing, though. And I don't know the characters very well, so okay. 4 of these 9 characters, so nearly half of these characters are already in the game. Niles, Oboro, Navari, and Owain. Whoever the hell those people are non-playable characters in the base game. You have to pay $20 for a season pass in order to be able to play as those characters who are already in the game. Now, you might remember Fire Emblem Warriors and the antagonists in that game, Sia, Volga, and Wizro, who were not playable until like the first or second free update that made them playable because they were already in the game. So, yeah. Back in Fire Emblem Warriors, it was a free update. Now, it's part of a $20 season pass. So, not liking the trajectory of this stuff.
No, not at all.
Now, on the bright side, however, there is a free DLC update that includes the Japanese language track for Fire Emblem Warriors. And that is good. That should be a standard. If you can't fit dual languages on a disc or a cartridge or whatever, hey, I understand. It takes up a lot of space. But the Japanese language track should be available as free DLC. That is good. Good Nintendo. We like that. And as a matter of fact, any of the stupid localization changes you're compelled to do, like, changing outfits and stuff, make the original versions of that available as free DLC too. Call
that
it
would
the
be nice.
Japanese version pack, or the uncensored pack, or the whatever. I don't care. I don't. Yeah, there you go. I don't care how you brand it.
Yeah.
So there we go. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. But we did actually have some interesting topics to talk about today, and one of them is Electronic Arts has done what Electronic Arts does, and that's shut down its subsidiaries. This time, it's closed Visceral Games, who is probably best known for the Dead Space games. Also did Battlefield Hardline a couple of years ago, and was working on a Star Wars game. Now, Patrick Soderlund, or EA Dude, said in a blog post, Visceral was working on an action-adventure title set in the Star Wars universe. In its current form, it was shaping up to be a story-based linear adventure game, which sounds great to me, especially as a companion piece to a massively multiplayer game like Star Wars Battlefront, Battlefront 2. He goes on to say, throughout the development process, we have been testing the game concept with players, listening to the feedback about what and how they want to play, and closely tracking fundamental shifts in the marketplace. That just makes my butt go... Goes on to say, it has become clear that to deliver an experience that players will want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come, we need to pivot the design. Which sounds to me like EA took a look at this linear single-player adventure game and says, there's no way we can conceivably put microtransactions and loot boxes and crap in that. So,
yeah. Yeah, that's basically what everybody, literally everybody that heard this news took that as EA couldn't figure out how to milk that for more than $60 a pop, and they're shifting to turn it more into something like Battlefront 2 or Destiny or something like that,
yeah.
where it's more multiplayer, geared towards the multiplayer, with loot boxes and microtransactions and DLC and.
Now it's totally possible that this Star Wars project just was not
asking the question: Are AAA single player games dead? And,
if you keep killing the studios making,
I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't? Test 1 2 3.
I don't know if it's on my end or on. Oh.
Well, let me.
Sorry, that was on my end. I accidentally hit my volume down button on my my thing.
Well, I just wanted to point out that it's completely within the realm of possibility that, despite the fact that Visceral is a very good company who's made some really wonderful games like Dead Space 1 and 2, it's possible this particular Star Wars project just wasn't coming together and sucked. Totally possible.
Possibly, yeah.
But this is a pattern. I mean, I think we were talking about this a couple of years ago, 2 years ago. I think it was 2015 when it shut down Maxis. I think we were playing a Deadpool. We're like, who's next? I think I called Visceral because I think Hardline was underperforming at the Battlefield, whichever Hardline. What the hell's it called?
Yeah, I don't know.
What the hell's the name of the game? Yeah, Battlefield Hardline. Because that wasn't selling to EA's expectations. I was thinking, oh yeah, because after what they did with Dead Space 3, making it a co-op thing with microtransactions, all this crap, and then they started doing this crap with Hardline. It wasn't selling. I was like, oh man, Visceral's next. So who's next? I'm gonna guess BioWare.
And that would suck. Yeah. BioWare was one of my top favorite game studios, and then EA bought them, and I was just like, man, they're on borrowed time now. And look, they seem to be holding off, but they're yeah. Jim Sterling called EA a game dev studio serial killer. And
well, it's not kidding. It's closed like 8-10 studios, something like that, over the last decade and a half. I mean, it seems like every 2 years it shuts down one. It was Maxis was a couple of years ago. Their Origin. What was the Spellforce one?
I don't know. Like they've done a lot.
Black Box, Bullfrog, Pandemic.
Yeah.
There's several of them.
Yeah, and I don't.
PH, I forget what the name is.
Yeah. But I've said this before, and I said it this week on Twitter, and I'll probably keep saying it until something shifts in the AAA industry. But the AAA games industry needs to have a shift in how they do game development, and it needs to mirror what movie studios do, where movie studios will have a 2 or 3 big tentpole productions, blockbuster movies that they do, takes tons of money to produce, to market, and hopefully makes hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars back. But they also have a dozen or 2 little films that take only a few $1 million, a couple of $10 million to make, and they make a lot of profit, even if it's only in the a couple of tens of millions of dollars in ticket sales. The video games industry needs to do something along those lines. They need to do what is it? Ubisoft that was making those those little little games. Like they did the war games where it was more of the side scroller thing and with a dog, and I forget what that one was called. This War is Mine or something.
Yeah. Valiant Story or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's like
but they also have the Just Dance games, which they pump one out.
Yeah, the Just Dance.
Those are
games.
Fairly low budget compared to something like Watch Dogs or
I think with Just Dance, the most expensive thing is the music licensing. But Matthew says that they can't. Indies mid tiers already doing that. They AAA game developers and publishers can still do that. There's the indie scene is not hogging the market. There's no reason why EA can't have a couple of 20 to 30 man teams working on smaller scope games.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is not every game is Call of Duty, and it shouldn't be. Something Matthew said a while ago. Dead Space 2 said it cost $60 million to make, another $60 million to market. 4 million copies were not enough, and yeah, the math works out that 4 million is not enough if you spend 120 million on it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. It's a horror game. It's not Call of Duty. It's not going to sell 13 million copies. Lower the budget on the damn thing.
Yeah.
You can't. Yeah, Dead Space did great numbers, but the horror genre is a niche genre in all mediums, really. The books, movies. Sometimes you have some that do great and do phenomenal numbers. Normally, horror movies don't make a ton of money, but they are incredibly profitable because they're cheap to make. Now, video games, that doesn't necessarily mean that horror video games are cheap to make. They're not. No. But they should not have spent 120 million on a game that was not going to sell them, and it never was going to.
Yeah, and it's really surprises me that we have case after case after case of indie developers working in 5-man teams, 10-man teams, making a game in the course of 2 to 3 years and doing pretty well for themselves once they release. Not every game is a success. There's nothing like that. But if 5 people can make a game over the course of 2 years and make a profit for themselves, surely EA can dedicate 10 people or 20 people over the course of a year to make a game and release that and make a couple of $1 million, $5 million off of that or whatever. Surely they could do that. And but for some reason the AAA industry is opposed to that, and I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. It's like go big or go home for them.
Yeah. Another thing that has me actually encouraged is the fact that Ninja Theory, I think it was, did Senua's Sacrifice, Hellblade, or whatever it's called, which is a $30 game, but it's a for all intents and purposes, it's a AAA game. This is a game that you could easily imagine seeing on store shelves at Walmart for full $60.
Yeah.
But they made it, I think, without a publisher, and they charged $30 for it. And from what I've heard, again, it's probably a little bit too early to say, but from what I've heard, it's doing rather well. That's really encouraging. And that kind of shoots a hole in the, games have to be $60. No, they don't. Doesn't mean they can't. Doesn't mean they ever shouldn't. I won't buy them at that price, but that's beside the point. It's just that, this game should have cost $30, and it seemed to be doing well at that price point. I also want to point out that I don't mean BioWare is going to be closed this year. My prediction is the next company that closes in the next few years. So like in 2020 or something like that. Deja Voodoo, a name I've always really liked, says, "Is this the Molehill Mountain show with Andrew Eisen?" Yes.
Yes, it is. And Cuphead sold over $1 million, And that was a small team as well. And
it took them 5 years, but
it took a while. But
it's a hand animated game. It took a while.
Yeah, and that's a lot of work. They put a lot of work into that, and they had a shift in production, like halfway in development, where they had originally just planned it being a series of boss battles, and then when they announced it, everybody was like, "Oh, cool! So you're gonna have like tons of levels to platforming in there too, right?" And they were like, "Oh, maybe we should." And then
from what I'm hearing, kind of reading between the lines in a lot of the reviews, it kind of sounds like they might have wanted to stick to the boss rush original design, because from what I'm hearing, the run and gun sections are the weakest, not bad, just the weakest part of the game.
Yeah.
From what I've read, anyway, it's a game that if it goes on sale, I think I'll definitely pick that up.
Yeah, it's one of those games that I really want to play just because it looks so good. And
I thought it might be fun to play on the Extra Life charity marathon thing. It's like see how crap Andrew is at a shooter. I thought that might be kind of fun, but it's $20 and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll think about it. I've got other things I'm spending my money on right now, so. Froyling13 says, "Great, I can watch a podcast live." Well, glad we're still broadcasting, because we're supposed to be done by now, but we always go long.
Yeah, we always go over.
Because we yammer a lot.
To an hour.
No, I'm getting a notification that someone on my videos is saying, you do know that Fire Emblem Warriors is an exclusive, right? I know that Fire Emblem Warriors is on the Switch and the 3DS, so while it's certainly a Nintendo exclusive, it's not a Switch exclusive, which is what I was talking about in the video. So, yeah. Let's see. Last topic, I think, is Activision, who in 2015 filed a patent that was approved earlier this week. And this patent is really... It's another one that makes my sphincter clench. It's yeah. Oh God. Okay, so this is a patent that describes a matchmaking system for online multiplayer games that pairs players together in a particular way to encourage the sale of in-game microtransactions, right? So let's see, there was an example in the Kotaku article. Let me see where the hell it is there. For example, if the player purchased a particular weapon, the microtransaction engine may match the player in a gameplay session in which the particular weapon is highly effective. This may encourage the player to make future purchases to achieve similar gameplay results. There were also some other examples where they would match a player against someone who would kick their butt in order to encourage them to buy the gear or the outfits or the weapons or whatever that the other player has to remain competitive. So the patent describes a lot of situations where it's matchmaking not to make the most fun experience, but to make the most money, to pry more coin out your wallet.
And this is kind of scary if you really think about it, is that they are making the experience less fun for people who don't buy microtransactions in order to basically beat them into submission so that they give up and buy microtransactions. You think about the ways that free-to-play games are designed in order to incentivize the sale of microtransactions, where games will have energy systems where you can only do a certain number of things before you have to wait 3 hours in order to play again. Or you can buy energy refills in order to continue playing. Or games will have lives where if you lose X number of times, you have to wait so many hours in order to start playing again, or you can just buy more lives to continue playing, and that's those kinds of systems are all over free-to-play games, and Activision here is just basically saying, we like those. Let's take this one step further.
Yeah, in a free-to-play game, hey, fine, knock yourself out. But in a game I already paid $60 for, no. Now, Activision clarifies that, well, a community manager for Destiny 2 says, this functionality doesn't appear in Destiny. But you wouldn't be able to tell if it did. Activision, let's see. They said something about this was an exploratory patent filed in 2015 by an R&D team working independently from our game studios. It has not been implemented in game. Okay, sure, fine, but much like when publishers say, hey, loot boxes, microtransactions, all that stuff is optional. It's extra. You can play the whole game without even blah, blah, blah. That's all BS. Because if you didn't want me to, you want me to buy the microtransactions. That's why they're in there. I don't believe you were researching this completely on a whim. This is being researched for a reason. Now, it may never come to pass. That is true. Patents are filed for things that never come to light all the time.
Yeah, and there's actually tax reasons to file patents too.
Sure.
Like there's research and development tax credits, and if you actually file for patents and get those patents, it can mean less taxes you have to pay at the end of the year, and so yeah, there's more than one reason why they would be filing such patents, but this particular patent is just it's ick.
It's ick. That's the best way to say it. It's just ick. As Matthew points out, it says, trust me, if they implement it, people will figure it out if they do. Oh yeah, especially now that gamers know what to look for, which is exactly what Matthew followed up with. But yeah, now that we know we're on to you, Activision. We will be. Of course, Activision, Bobby Kotick be like, yeah, what are you going to do about it? Not buy Call of Duty? I'll believe that when I see it.
Yeah. Call of
Duty's one of those games people need to stop buying. Oh, and The Last Go-Getter, another great name, clarifies that the Fire Emblem Warriors is on the Switch and new 3DS, not the vanilla 3DS. That's true.
Yeah. I guess you could also play it on the new 2DS as well. Just you won't have the 3D functionality.
Sure.
I actually saw the 2DS XL, or the new 2DS XL, and the old 2DS are actually still in stock. You get used to the fact that you can't find Switches very often, but I was very surprised that there was plenty of 2DSs, new 2DSs, and new 3DSs in stock at Walmart today. So, man, I'm pretty tempted to get one of those new 2DSs, but I've got plenty of games though.
Well, I think that is our show for the night because we should
probably call it.
I'm on call this weekend, so I've got to get back to it. So. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us and listening to us blabber and complain about the most distressing, horrible things that face our world today. Video games and the companies that make them. So
we love you, game companies. You make lots of good games, but just stop being jerks.
Yeah. Why won't you love us back? It's so crushing when you realize that game companies aren't your friend. I think you're only interested in me for my wallet. Why can't they love me for my mind too?
Yeah, Matthew says I should just spend the extra money and get a Switch, but Bravely Default isn't on the Switch. I'm sorry.
But Project Octopath Traveler will be.
Yes, that's true. But I really want to play Bravely Default and Bravely Second. Those are like my first two purchases when I get a 3DS. So, yeah.
Great games, but they're on the 3DS. Yeah, I played the demo, and nice, long, meaty demo.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just don't want to play it on the 3DS. I really
I
enjoy.
don't mind mobile games.
Yeah, most don't. I'm one of those weird people who just really just does not like playing mobile. So, pardon. Anyway, that's our show for the evening. Plug our stuff and be outs. Andrew Eisen here. Eisen is how you spell the last name. Plug it into YouTube, and you can watch my videos, including my latest video called "Third Party Games on Nintendo Switch: mostly ports of old games." Hope you enjoy that, because I spent a lot of time researching and editing that sucker. There may be a couple mistakes. Monopoly may not actually be an exclusive. So
as exclusive as Monopoly can be.
Well, I know. I really went back and forth on that, because I looked, and it has a lot of exclusive Switch features. So it seems to play differently on Switch than it does on any other device. But looking at the assets, it is very similar. But then again, it's Monopoly.
Yeah.
But you can make the same argument for Street Fighter 2, which I didn't count as an exclusive. It has some exclusive modes, like that Shadowloo first-person weird thing, and it has a couple extra characters, which are little more than palette swaps. But and I had someone who's really into Street Fighter say it's totally different. It plays totally different. Maybe it does, but it looks like Street Fighter 2 to me. If you're so totally into Street Fighter that you can really tell the mechanical and engine differences between the two, then maybe that's enough to count it as an exclusive. But that's the thing is, I don't really get hung up on the classifications. If you want to count Street Fighter, Ultra Street Fighter 2, the Final Challengers, as an exclusive, that's totally cool. If you think that Bandai Namco showing up in the credits under special thanks for both ARMS and Mario Kart 8 deserved, I should have listed both of those games, add an exclusive and port. It's cool. There's 161 games. Moving 5 games around doesn't really change the fact that 2/3 of the games on the list are older ports, which was what I was observing. So anyway, watch that. Hope you enjoy it. Also, the Extra Life charity event is Saturday, November 4th, so 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Please look forward to that. If you would like to make a donation, go to extralife.org. There is a hyphen between Extra and Life. So extra-life.org/participant/Andrew Eisen. Or just go to extralife.org and search for Andrew Eisen. Make a donation. It's tax deductible. All the monies goes to Rady Children's Hospital here in San Diego. So far I've raised, I think, 400 and something. Let me look real quick. $426. So I'm really excited to have raised that much so far. Going for a solid $1,000 this year. We raised $825 last year, so I'm hoping to hit 1,000. I've got a bunch of different stretch goals and donation incentives. I think if you let's see, I have the page right here. So if you donate $50 or more, I will personally call you during the stream and thank you. If you donate 100 or more, I'll produce a YouTube video of your choice. Let's play, a commentary on something, a review of something, whatever. But there's also some stretch goals. If we hit $500, which it looks like we will, I'll do an extra hour for the stream. For every $100 we raise, I'll do an additional game stream in the subsequent weeks. But the pinnacle is, if we hit $1,000, I will wear a dress for the entire marathon. Or if we hit $1,000 in the middle of the marathon, I'll go change into a dress and play the rest of the marathon wearing a dress. And I'm sure I will look absolutely ravishing in a dress.
Yeah.
Do I have a dress? No, but I will. I will this weekend because my sister bought 2 of them for me, and she's bringing them with her. So one is blue with polka dots, and one is, I'm not sure how to describe it, but it's very loud. It's kind of yellow and some other colors. Oh, so donate money and put me in a for charity.
Did you hear that thunder? I don't know if you caught that over my mic, but it's like right when you said loud, this massive crash of thunder.
Wow!
Came from out my window.
So again, Extra Life, extra-life.org. Search Andrew Eisen, make a donation, and I'll be streaming for probably 25 solid hours, noon to noon, Saturday, November 4th. You can watch the stream on my Twitch channel. You can watch it on my YouTube channel. You can chat with me during the show. My sister will be here. I'm working on getting a special guest. It's going to be a lot of fun, so I hope you can all come and keep me awake in the wee small hours of the morning. And hey, follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen. And that's it. Zachary, plug away.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night. I am not doing the charity marathon this year. Sorry. It's something I keep thinking about and never getting around to actually doing. Maybe one of these years I'll actually do it. But you can also follow my game development stuff at DK_gaming on Twitter. And I'm actually going to be doing more game development this week now that all of my computer issues have been taken care of for the time being. And also, if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, follow OK Game Devs on Twitter and okgamedev.com. There we go.
All right. You've been watching episode 71 of the, I almost said Super Podcast Action Committee, but it's the Molehill Mountain Podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we hope to see you back here next week. Take care, all. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.